Welcome to the video. My name's Steven. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to increase your concentration and focus. I know as an entrepreneur, it can be hard, especially in the early stages or even further along, because there is no authority figure to tell you, hey, sit back down, do your work. It's very easy to get up, screw around, go scroll on your phone, something I've struggled with in the past, something I still struggle with occasionally, and something that I think everyone could be better at. And so I'm going to be talking about that in this video to not only help you, to hopefully help myself as well. If you don't know who I am, I make this channel for small business owners, entrepreneurs, like-minded individuals to grow themselves, grow their brands, and become better people. 200 subscribers, thank you for subscribing. This is crazy how far we've gotten in just a short amount of time. And I am pushing back my special. So I talked about it. I was going to do a 200 sub special, pushing it back, had some stuff come up. So yeah, we're not doing that right now. Also, if my voice is, if I'm moving slower, it's because I used to speed up my videos and I kind of got some, not like hate, but like, people were saying, you should probably slow down a little bit. And I appreciate the feedback. And so I'm going to start slowing down my videos and stuff. I sound a little weird. That's probably why. To like normal pace is how I usually talk. If you go look at my older videos. Anyway, so first thing I want to go over is the mind and the body, right? So here's the body, and this is my ugly shaped mind with little squigglies for your nerve endings or whatever. So here's the mind, here's the body, and your mind almost casts through the body and sees the world. So everything you see the world from comes from your mind. Your perception of reality comes from here, okay? And so you can only act accordingly when your mind is corrected. And so if you're struggling to focus and you're struggling to pay attention, then it's probably because of something inside your mind. And for example, there could be external stimulant, like you have your cell phone and you have the work that you need to do. Let's just draw a crappy little laptop. Ooh, I'm kind of spazzing on that. Nope, it's awful. So here's your laptop with the keyboard or whatever, and your phone. And you need to do your work, but your phone is also in the environment. Your mind, depending on how much it has been attached to your phone or your laptop in the past, will choose according to what feels right for your mind and will start wandering because of what's in your environment. Your mind is a primal part of human existence. It has not changed in millions of years, and it's supposed to pick up data in order to let you survive. And so the more you have in your environment, the more likely your mind is to pick up different data points and start making assumptions and inferences based off the things that it sees in order to keep you in homeostasis, which it's kind of like keep the body the same, keep life the same. Like if a plane came and crashed through this window right now, things would be crazy different, and I would probably move out of the way of this camera and this video would be done, right? But since there's not a plane crashing through the window and everything is relatively normal right now, this is normal. This is what I usually do. Everything is completely normal. And so I'm going to act in accordance with that, right? So my point is that your brain picks up information, and it will continue to do that unless you quiet it. And so we're going to talk about in this video how to quiet the mind, but also how to make yourself stop picking things like social media and junk food and start doing the work, because these stimulants are bad for you. Now, I was talking about data points already, and so I'm going to keep talking about data in this other diagram here, and I've talked about this in previous videos. There is a part of your brain called the striatum, and I think this is how you spell it. And this part of your brain is responsible for your habits, okay? So your striatum, and I'm just gonna draw this little circle here. Say that's your striatum. Your striatum attaches to habits and things you have done in the past. So for example, if we had video games, and we have reading, and we have social media. Say the thing that you need to do, the outcome that you need to have, say you're a student and you're trying to read a book for class, you need to read, but you also have played social media or played video games and watched social media in the past. Your brain your striatum makes a connection to each one of these things depending on the dopaminergic hit that you get off of doing each one of these actions. So for reading, you might get dopamine hit for reading one page of the book. Whereas for video games, because there's many data points, as I was saying before, you will get more dopamine hits because of certain colors and feelings. And, say you get kills in the video games or whatever it is, you score a point. You are making more connections to your striatum by playing video games than by reading, right? Because each page is just one connection. Whereas video games are multiple connections all the time because you're being stimulated. And if you really look at it, it's not just the game in itself. It's the colors in the game, the people you're playing with, the actions that you're making, the upgrades that you're getting, the guns or weapons that you have, the skills that you're developing within the game. And same thing goes with social media. You scroll and you see content and you listen to what the content says and you get a dopamine hit for watching the video and for scrolling, depending if the video was good or not. And then you keep scrolling. And some videos have multiple ways for you to get a dopamine hit besides just completing the video and scrolling. There might be completing the video and seeing the little colors that pop up and the girl that's in the video is pretty. And before you know it, you've gotten multiple hits from social media. And again, there's like branched off parts, there's branched off data points that are connecting to your striatum. Okay, and maybe some of those are more important than others. Like, for example, social media, you might be looking at social media because you know at some point there's going to be a pretty girl that pops up, and that pretty girl has a heavier weight on your striatum than the colors in the video or scrolling on the feed. So, with all that being said, this is why social media is not very good for you, and why video games is not very good for you. And more importantly, when you're trying to read, if you've already had a million hits of video games in your life and a million hits of social media in your life, what makes you think you're going to get the first 5 hits of reading? And because it's not interesting, that's why you get a paragraph in and say, you know what, screw this, I don't want to do this anymore, because it's not exciting or as exciting as the video game or social media. So the only way that you'll be able to fix that is to do more of the activity that you're trying to do. Say it's work that you're trying to focus on. Do more of that than the other activities, because you've already had enough hits of those activities and pulls into your striatum than the work that you're trying to do, most likely. Because in my life, I know that I've played way more hours of video games than I've sat down to do work. Even though more recently I've done more work than play video games, still my brain in the back of my mind thinks maybe we will play video games at some point, And now it's not something that I play anymore, but my brain still thinks about it. And my brain still picks up data points from other things that have happened in my life. So the next thing I want you to understand is that the more you do it, the better you will get at it. And the easier it will be to do the harder work as time goes on. So another part of the brain we're going to be talking about is the anterior midcingular cortex. And I learned about this from Dr. Andrew Huberman, who talked about this on a podcast, I think with David Goggins, but I might be mistaken. You could probably go check it out yourself. But basically, this is a part of your brain that is responsible for your willpower and your discipline. And say it's this big. The more you do the hard things that you don't want to do, like, for example, taking a cold shower, even though you don't want to take that cold shower, the anterior midcingular cortex begins to grow. And the more things that you do that are hard for you to do, it continues to grow. But Steven, what about the gym? I like the gym and the gym's hard. It doesn't grow when you get used to stuff. So like I'm used to the gym. So my anterior midcingular cortex does not grow when I go to the gym. It grows when I sit down and when it's time to take that cold call that I really don't want to take, but I've already taken 90 calls today and I would love to quit. Or when my friends are all inviting me out for weekend plans and it does sound fun, but I know I have work to do. That's when the anterior midcingular cortex grows. When it's 5 a.m. and you don't want to wake up, but you should, that's when it grows. Also, it shrinks as well when you don't do the things and you give in and you don't have that willpower and discipline and give in to those bad habits. And so say you decide, screw it, I'm going to look at a naughty website. It gets smaller and it continues to get smaller the more you spend time doing things that are not the hard work. And so I bring this up because it almost sounds crazy to think of, like it grows, right? But it's just like a muscle, right? When you lift weights, when you do bicep curls, your biceps get bigger. And when you stop lifting weights, your biceps get smaller. The same thing goes here. This is a weight. We are lifting this willpower muscle. Okay, so understand that it does get easier over time. But in order to grow that willpower muscle, you're going to have to continue to keep doing the thing that you don't want to do, even though you know you should do it. So that is my next tip. So my last tip here is to set goals, to set reasonable goals for yourself. Okay, and the best way to do that is to 3 times the goal that you have now. So if it's a monetary goal, for example, say you are making $1,000 a month, you want to get to $3,000 a month. Say you usually gain 2 pounds of muscle per month, you want to gain 6 pounds of muscle per month. Or say you run 1 mile, you get my point. Run 3 miles. The reason I bring this up is because you don't want to gas yourself immediately. It's very easy to give yourself very high goals and set high expectations for yourself and then not reach them and not have the discipline to do it, right? Because say there's a 30-day time span, and during that 30 days, on day 1, I tell myself I'm going to be making $10,000 more than what I'm making now, and say I'm only making right now $10. Well, when it's time, like, that's a lot of money to just try to, come up with. If you don't have this, if you're seriously only making $10 a month and you're trying to get to $10,000 a month, what happens when you get to $1,000 a month and it's day 22, right? You have 8 more days, but you're going to give up because you're like, well, I only got to $1,000. I need to get another $9,000 in order to reach my goal. And that's going to take so long in those 8 days. And so your attitude about what you're doing will go down. And so this is why you should set goals, but in increments that you can attack, right? It's always good to set big goals. It's very good. But make sure you're setting goals that are reasonable enough for you to hit, so that way you don't get to a point where you feel dissatisfied and quit working towards the goal. All right, so here are basically the 3 tips that I went over. Do more, and that is the do more is about the stratum, how you've made connections to bad habits and now need to make connections to good habits. And the only way to do that is by doing more and doing less of the bad. Then the more you do, the easier it'll get. That's the anterior mid-singular cortex in effect right there. And then set tangible goals. Now I'm going to give you my biggest tip for focus that I've ever gotten or done. And it's very cliche, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. And that's dopamine detoxing. That's taking away any electronics, any stimulants that are anything that gives you instant gratification. You want to delete instant gratification as much as possible and make everything delayed gratification to where you get that late dopamine hit and you grow your anterior mid-singular cortex. You have more repetition from things that are not directly affecting your stratum that the old things like junk food and video games and cigarettes were in the past. And then you need to set tangible goals. And the only way you can do that and clear your mind properly is with dopamine detoxing. Another way is meditating. Like I said, you have your brain and then you have yourself, and your brain is how you perceive the world. Now, if your brain is all cloudy and messed up, and again, it's a very primal organ and it does primal things, it just likes to work the way that it works. And you need it to focus on one thing. If you meditate, that helps your mind clear it from all the distractions. So if there's 17 data points in front of you, for example, social media, this ad on YouTube, your bottle of cologne, and your girlfriend, you're going to, and work, you're going to pick the work every time because you have to do it. Imagine if you walked through the entire day and your brain had 0 thoughts in it. You weren't sitting there overthinking about something that had just happened 10 minutes ago or something that's about to happen in the future. That's where all your anxiety comes from, is thinking. But instead of having that happen in your day, you had a thought and it passed your mind and you continued doing the stuff you were supposed to do. That's how you focus. So I would meditate a lot. I'm getting back into meditation. I kind of screwed off a little bit for a couple weeks. I'm getting back into it. But even from where I started a long time ago, meditation has helped me so much. And you can sit here and cope and say, well, it didn't work for me. And I tried it and I did it for 3 minutes and it doesn't work. So it's not going to work for me. And honestly, my answer to you is you're right. It's not going to work for you. It's never going to work for you and it never will. And the reason I say it like that is because if you don't believe it's going to work, then why should I try to convince you that it's going to work? Because I've told you that it works and other people have. So, and you know that it's like a muscle. It's going to take time to get better at it. But if you make an excuse, you're right. And that's just the truth. You're not going to get better. But you can get better if you try. But again, it's not my thing to force into you. So here's everything I wanted to talk about. It's not very fucking crazy. Like, I didn't talk about anything crazy in this video. I hope that's something that you got from this video. Like, this shit seems kind of basic. And it should. Because if you have goals and you have something real that you're putting together, focus is not hard. You know, it's easy. Like, you know what you have to do intrinsically. You know you have to meditate and stop playing video games and start doing the work required. You know you have to do this shit. And so if you're struggling anywhere in your business or in your life or with your family or whatever it is, if you're struggling, there's very simple things you can do to fix that. It's with the brain. It's not with like junk food or social media. These are all like part-time cures for serious symptoms and problems in your life. If you're drinking every day, there's probably an issue. If you're scrolling on your phone every day, there's probably an issue. If you're smoking cigarettes every day, there's probably an issue. And you can fix that by fixing this stuff. You need to fix this stuff and set tangible goals and create an outcome for yourself that's not just sitting around all day. Ask yourself why. Why do I do these things? Why am I this person? Why do I get up? And why do I talk? And why do I tell people certain things and act certain ways? And the more you discover about yourself, the more times you ask why, the more likely you are to get closer to whatever goals you're getting to, because you'll learn who you are and you'll stop doing stupid stuff and you'll start focusing on the work. And so that's kind of my video. I know it kind of rambled on a little bit, but I hope that helped you out. Two things I want to say for the people that are still here, which means you probably don't have any focus problems if you're listening this far. One, 200 sub special is being pushed back, and I will let you know kind of more updates as we move on. The other thing, I guess I do have a little like surprise, but I'm starting a podcast with contractors. So if you run or entrepreneurs, if you run a business and you want to be featured on a podcast, click the link in the description and you can book a time for a podcast. They're filling up pretty quick. I had like 5 people book a podcast, and so just this morning, and I started it today. So click the link in the description if you want to be on the podcast. I can't wait to see you there. Thank you for watching. Stop scrolling on social media because it's messing with your focus.